Most are afraid of unknown depths, skirting shores thinking world flat. I'm with the island girls in celebration of new religion. Nobody led me or said this way. I sailed alone on makeshift raft with wind as companion. Fate for deliverance, confidence enough to assess new disposition. Seekers of lost paradise may seem fools to those who never sought the other worlds. Welcome to Momentary Zen with Zen Garcia. Visit www.fallenangels.tv. You're listening to Revolution Radio.
The demons of carnal persuasion, powers, principalities, rulers of darkness, cast out of heaven so long ago memory fails contemporary regard, disrupted the natural cycle of pre-humanity's resolve, installing themselves as gods over species regarded slave to the whims of their desire. For a short time, these seraphic angels, purged from celestial hierarchy, would parade as the Most High, establishing themselves over a reprobate earth, mixing with species bred specifically for subservient designation. Evil intentions govern the symbiotic relationship of pagan peoples with their so-called dragon lords. Worship from beginning was imbued with demand for virgin, victim, blood, or child sacrifice. Modern Satanism and current piety reflects a similar accord. What does that say of the dragons of old, still ruling from behind the scenes as mighty Oz, mere angels in indeterminate guise? Most of humanity is still slave to such interpretation. The matrix, now ancient in subjection, is wrapped in the talons of that great dragon, that old serpent known to us as Satan and the devil, he who deceiveth the entirety of world. As disciples of Christ and truth, we must ask ourselves, are our modern ways of being gestures in life only guided, compelled by the illusion of freedom? Welcome, friends. I'm your host, Zen Garcia. This is Momentary Zen here on Studio B at Revolution Radio on freedomslips.com. And I thank you for taking the time to join me, all of you that are in the chat room. If you did say hello to me earlier, I apologize. I was working on the last touch-ups of this particular poem because it is relevant to the things that I'm going to be covering tonight and doing the second in series. Hello, Doc and Bella and Karen K and SG and Lucid and Monkey and Nighthawk and Tremhar and Hal and Kuron. Mad Painter is on Studio A tonight. Gathica and all the rest of you that are in the chat room and not on the immediate scroll. But tonight I'm going to be doing a second in the series on the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and also the focus on the prior times, Atlantis, and the ancient mysteries, of which I'll go ahead and post this into the chat room. And I'm going to share some information tonight, in particular, called the Scroll of Thoth, which is an interesting part of the Colburn Bible. Oh my goodness. Somehow it ended up going back to mute. So, anyways, I hope that y'all were able to hear the majority of what I was saying, and I'm glad that I was able to catch that quickly. But anyway, so I'm going to be covering second in series tonight on the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Atlantis and the prior times, and that I'm going to be reading from this one portion of the Emerald Tablets. Quran is asking me what's the name of the show. The name of the show is Momentary Zen. You can find it under Zen Garcia. I'm all the way down at the very bottom of the list as far as the archives, and it will be available probably 5-10 minutes after the show, so you can look for it then. And hello, Matthew, and so as I had made mention, I don't know if you heard this part, but I'm also going to reference a particular scroll. I believe it's like chapter 35 of the Colburn Bible. It's called the Scroll of Thoth, and in my opinion, it absolutely relates exactly with what I believe it's Emerald Tablet 4 that we'll be beginning with. And once I relate that particular portion of this particular tablet, then I will go into the Scroll of Thoth. And the poem that I opened the show with is also connected to what we will be covering this evening. And I know that this is an absolutely interesting topic because out of all the videos that I've made available on my YouTube channel under Endeavor Freedom, the ones that are connected to the Emerald Tablets garnered the most interest and also the most response. I want to also let everybody know that YouTube has changed the way that you can review commentary. For some reason, you are having to sign up with Google Plus in order to see the commentary and then reply to it. But for some reason, it is not working. And so if you have been leaving a lot of commentary, which I know that a lot of you have, because I get 30 to 80 comments every day, and since they've made this change, I've not been able to keep up with them. And again, as I have 400 plus videos on site, I would have to click on every one in order to keep up with all that. And so hopefully they'll get that rectified shortly, and then I'll be able to answer you. But if you have questions and you're not getting your answers there, just contact me at zengarcia.com. Just hit the contact us and it will go directly to my email, and that would be the quickest way to send or ask me a question. And also on Facebook under Zen Garcia, that you can contact me there. Also, I want to really quick let you know that I'm not one of those that spends a lot of time on Facebook. I basically just go on every Saturday and every Wednesday, like usually at least a few hours prior, maybe a day before, to list the link to the show that I'll be doing, the upcoming show. And so give me some time if you want me to answer a particular something, or if you share a comment on my wall and I don't immediately get back with you, that you will understand why. And so be patient with me, but I do try to answer those of you that ask me questions as soon as I can. And and to make it a point to try to reply to all those that do reach out to me. And so, um, that being said, one other thing, at some point, I'm going to bring forth this other information that is connected to the destruction of Atlantis, and also the scatter of the Atlanteans, and how they went to the four corners of the world, different um, to different peoples, cultures, and civilizations, and how they had a hand in assisting those pre-Adamic people, and that one of the reasons why Atlantis was destroyed and the Atlanteans as people were dispersed is because of the division that was taking place during the time of Atlantis. And it's my opinion that it existed as a continent and as a place for a very long time, possibly over 30,000 years, and that there were three destructions which led to the final cataclysm that drowned it as a continent and had it disappear from worldview, and being left only as a memory in the collective consciousness of world, as the motherland, or that collective colony of which so many other advanced cultures have as root and owe their progress to. And so, and that will be also covered in some of what we're going to be talking about tonight. And then in a further show, another show, I'll recite and reference this other wisdom text that I'm talking about now, that talks about the destruction of Waga, which is the name of Pan Atlantis, also called Muror, Muror, of which the James Churchward, he and his brother, they did a number of, wrote a number of books in connection with the continent of Mu, the people of Mu, as well as the symbols of Mu, Mu, and that he cites in his work that this particular culture, this ancient civilization long ago, having disappeared and been destroyed, much like what we're talking about with the drowning of Atlantis, that it's basically the same thing. And what Plato in Critias and Timaeus recites as having disappeared a very long time ago. And so I'm going to go ahead and go into the text because I want to be able to cover as much as possible. And then in the next portion, in the second 30-minute segment, I'll share the information from the scroll of Thoth. All right. Let me find my place here, and then we'll get into it. Okay, I'm going to read just a couple paragraphs before where we had left off in the last show, just to set up the premise for what we're going to be going into this evening. It says this. Also, if you did miss last week's episode, I did publish it on YouTube, and I brought out a lot of very relevant information from a wide, eclectic array of sources, which are connected to what I'm reading from and sharing as far as the Emerald Tablets. But I would absolutely, if you have not heard that, go and check out that show because it is mind blowing to say the least. All right. Divided the kingdoms he into sections. 10 were they, ruled by children of men. Upon another he built a temple, built but not by the children of men. Out of the ether called he its substance, molded and formed by the power of Yatalan. Into the forms he built with his mind. Mile upon mile it covered the island, space upon space it grew in its might, black yet not black, but dark like the space-time, deep in its heart the essence of light. Swiftly the temple grew into being, molded and shaped by the word of the dweller, called from the formless into a form. Builded he then within it great chambers, filled them from forms called forth from the ether, filled them with wisdom called forth by his mind. Formless was he within his temple, yet was he formed in the image of man, dwelling among them, yet not of them. Strange and far different was he from the children of men. In the previous show, we talked about how this particular being, this force of light, came to the earth and taking on form, he incarnated into what was the semblance of man, took on physical form, but he was a being of light, a celestial being, and how he chose 3 representatives to be the intermediaries between he and what were the kingdoms and peoples of the earth, and that he was a benevolent individual, and that it was sometime during, which we'll be getting to soon, sometime during the reign of Atlantis and the interaction of these celestial beings with that of the pre-Adamic peoples of the earth, that stargates and black magic and abominable rituals were done, which invited onto this plane of existence very malevolent forces. And we'll be getting to that next, but I just wanted to catch you up. All right. Chose he then from among the people 3 who became his gateway. Chose he the 3 from the highest to become his links with Atlantis. Messengers they who carried his counsel to the kings of the children of men. Brought he forth others and taught them wisdom. Teachers they to the children of men. Placed he them on the island of Undal to stand as teachers of light to men. Each of those who were thus chosen taught must be for years 5 and 10, and only thus could he have understanding to being light to the children of men. Thus there came into being the temple, a dwelling place for the master of man. I, Thoth, have ever sought wisdom, searching in darkness and searching in light. Long in my youth I traveled the pathway, seeking ever new knowledge to gain, until after much striving, one of the 3 to me brought the light. Brought he to me the commands of the dweller, called me from darkness into the light, and brought he me before the dweller, deep in the temple, before the great fire. And so Thoth is talking about how he was chosen to be one of these three intermediaries, uh, whom he calls the dweller, and that he was then taught the higher wisdom and like the ability to astral project and to travel in his spirit. All right, I'm going to skip just a little bit more. Followed I then the path to the star plains, followed I then the pathway to light. Deep into earth's heart I followed the pathway, learning the secrets below as above, learning the pathway to the halls of Amente, learning the law that balances the world to earth's hidden chambers, pierced I by my wisdom, deep through the earth's crust, into the pathway, hidden for ages from the children of men, unveiled before me ever more wisdom until I reached a new knowledge, found that all is part of an all, great and yet greater than all that we know. Searched I infinity's heart through the ages, deep and yet deeper, more mysteries I found. I know that those of you that have really sought for, like, have done vision quests or done sweat lodges and it had really profound experiences during meditation or prayer, that oftentimes when you come to a place of knowing, and when I say knowing, it's like you, and for those that understand this, that have experienced what I've experienced, it's almost like you're downloaded with information. You tap into a, what I call the great mystery or the great spirit or God or the Holy Spirit. And that when you seek after diligently and persistently and with all your heart, hunger and cry to have such an experience, that many times the Spirit will come to you, and having touched you or having merged with you in experience and having filled you with the Holy Spirit, is the only way that I can really reference it, that you're giving, allowed to know and to have knowledge which just seems, it's almost like, like 1 second equals all the time in eternity. And for that one moment, having tapped into the great mystery, you are open to revelation, had information shared with you which is profound and life-changing, completely altering. And for those that have experienced that, you'll understand what I'm trying to say here, because words are limited in their representation of accessing such a space or tapping into or having an appointment with knowledge, with truth, and being basically, accessing God. All right. Now, if you have any questions, certainly put them in the chat room. I will try to get to them as I can. And I appreciate your patience, those of you that are, dedicated listeners to the show. Now, as I look back through the ages, know I that wisdom is boundless, ever grown greater throughout the ages, one with infinities greater than all. Light there was in ancient Atlantis, yes, darkness too was hidden in all. Fell from the light into the darkness some who had risen to heights among men. Proud they became because of their knowledge. Proud were they of their place among men. Deep delved they into the forbidden, opened the gateway that led to below. Sought they to gain ever more knowledge, but seeking to bring it up from below. He who descends below must have balance, else he is bound by lack of our light. Open they then by their knowledge pathways forbidden to man. This is similar to those that play with Ouija boards um, or go on vision quests or meditate without being grounded in the light, without having any kind of a spiritual background, and that they open doorways that they don't know exactly what they're doing. And we'll be right back. All right, I'm reading from Emerald Tablet number 5. And so after I read this, I'm going to share one other commentary, and then we'll go into that other, the Colbrand aspect that alludes to the same kind of thing. All right, we were talking about light there was in ancient Atlantis, yes, darkness too was hidden in all. Fell from the light into the darkness some who had risen to heights among men. Proud they became because of their knowledge. Proud were they of their place among men. Deep delved they into the forbidden, opened the gateway that led to below, and sought they to gain ever more knowledge, but seeking to bring it up from below. He who descends below must have balance, else he is bound by lack of our light. Open they then by their knowledge pathways forbidden to man. But in his temple, all seeing the dweller lay in his agwanti, whatever that is, which through Atlantis his soul roamed free. Saw he the Atlanteans by their magic opening the gateway that would bring to earth a great woe? Fast fled his soul then back to his body. Up he arose from his aguante. Called he then the three mighty messengers and gave the commands that shattered the world. So basically, he saw that the Atlanteans were getting involved in things that they shouldn't have and were opening up portals, stargates, to entities that they should not have invited into this particular world, this plane of existence. And so he's about to prepare Thoth and the other three to send them abroad so that they could not only escape the cataclysm of Atlantis being destroyed, but also to take the knowledge of Atlantis to other peoples and to other places, to seed again the what would be the greatness or those aspects of light, which was the good side of Atlantis with other people and other beings. So let me continue reading this first. Deep beneath earth's crust to the halls of Amente swiftly descended the dweller. Called he them on the powers of the seven lords wielded, changed the earth's balance, and down sank Atlantis beneath the dark waves. Shattered the gateway that had been opened, shattered the doorway that led down below. All of the islands were shattered except Unal, and part of the island of the sons of the dweller. Preserved he them to be the teachers, lights on the path for those to come after, lights for the lesser children of man. Even Edgar Casey speaks about these power stones, these huge crystals that the Atlanteans had used and had harnessed in order to affect, which we know that quartz crystals amplify um, frequency, and that they are used in television sets as transmitters and receivers, as well as radios, and that they are able to harness, capture, and to amplify energy, frequency, wavelengths, and that there's absolutely something to all of that. Um, and so even Casey talked about this, and many have speculated that the Atlanteans, as as these angels, that there was a division amongst them. Some were the sons of light or the sons of the law, and the others were the sons of Belial or the children of darkness, and that this division is what caused the rift and the schism, which eventually led to the cataclysm, which was the destruction of Atlantis, and that this occurred sometime after 13,000, or near 13,000 BC. Called he then, I, Thoth, before him, gave me commands for all I should do, saying, take thou, O Thoth, all of your wisdom, take all of your records, take all of your magic, and go thou forth preserving the records until in time light grows among men. Light shalt thou be all through the ages, hidden yet found by enlightened men. Over all earth give we ye power, free thou to give or take it away. Gather thou now the sons of Atlantis, and take them and flee to the people of the rock caves. Fly to the land of the children of Chem. Then gathered I the sons of Atlantis into the spaceship. I brought all my records, brought the records of sunken Atlantis. Gathered I all of my powers, instruments, many of mighty magic. Up then we rose on wings of the morning. High we arose above the temple, leaving behind the three and dweller. Deep in the halls beneath the temple, down beneath the waves sank the great temple, closing the pathway to the lords of the cycles. Yet ever to him who has knowing open shall be the path to Amente. Fast fled we then on the wings of the morning, fled to the land of the children of Chem. There by my power I conquered and ruled them, raised I to light the children of Chem. Deep beneath the rocks I buried my spaceship, waiting the time when man might be free. Over the spaceship erected a marker in the form of a lion, yet like unto man. There beneath the image rests yet my spaceship, forth to be brought when need shall arise. Know ye, O man, that far in the future invaders shall come from out of the deep. Then awake ye who have wisdom. Bring forth my ship and conquer with ease. Deep beneath the image lies my secret. Search and find in the pyramid I built. Each to the other is the keystone, each the gateway that leads into life. Follow the key I leave behind me. Seek, and the doorway to life shall be thine. Seek thou in my pyramid deep in the passage that ends in a wall. Use thou the key of the seven, and open to thee the pathway will fall. Now unto thee I have given my wisdom. Now unto thee I have given my way. Follow the pathway, solve thou my secrets, and unto thee I have shown the way. All right, a couple very interesting parts as far as this particular tablet, Emerald Tablet number 5. First, he speaks of leaving Atlantis when it was being destroyed, and how he came to the children of Chem, which Chem is the ancient land of Egypt, and that he buried, well, not only did they reach the children of Chem by spaceship, but that he claims to have buried it there in the desert, and that he erected the Sphinx over it, and that there was also a place of knowledge, a hall of records, an archival room in what Edgar Cayce speaks of as the paw of the Sphinx, that there's a room, a passage, a corridor, somewhere under the paw of the Sphinx that is a hall of records, a library of sort. And that Thoth, speaks here in this particular tablet, claims to have buried this ancient craft there under the Sphinx, which I find to be interesting. And also what Cayce speaks of in relation to this Hall of Records, which I'm going to read real quickly just a little bit about some of the things, the topics, and some of the issues that Cayce brought forth in his many readings where he alluded to Atlantis, just to set up the next portion of what we're going to be going into. Cayce revealed that the size of Atlantis was equal to that of Europe, including Asia. In Europe, he saw visions of this continent of the past, which had gone through 3 major periods of division. The first 2 occurred around 15,000 BC, when the mainland was divided into islands, and the 3 main islands of Atlantis Cayce named were Poseida, Og, and Arion, which is interesting. Considered Og as a giant that was spared the flood of Noah's day, and that he was the last remnant of the giants, and that he married into the children of Ham, and some of his children, Goliath and his brothers, Saph and others, are part of his progeny. And Poseida, Plato, when he speaks of Atlantis in both Critias and Timaeus, he speaks of Poseidon as being the ruler and having taken a human wife, Cleito, that he birthed 5 sets of twins, beginning with a giant named Atlas. All right, continue. He claimed that the Atlanteans were well versed in technology that harnessed the power of the quantum world. This included the use of crystals and sound waves for healing, elevators and connecting tunnels that operated by compressed air and steam, quartz crystal science that was used to mine gold, copper, and silver from the earth. Atlanteans were adept at the use of silicon chips at levels unrivaled in the modern world. The crystal skull, for example, was cut with such infinite precision that no known modern tool could have replicated the job. They were familiar with the amplification power of crystals in laser technology and memory chips. They made extensive use of mass mental telepathy, psychokinesis, and astral projection into fourth dimensional consciousness. Edgar Cayce said the people of Atlantis had constructed giant laser-like crystals for power plants, and that these were responsible for the second destruction of the land. Cayce blamed the final destruction of Atlantis and the disintegration of their culture on greed and lust. According to Cayce, two rival parties fought for control of the Atlanteans in its final days. The children of the law of one wanted to return to a spiritual stewardship of the land based on natural laws, and the other group, the sons of Belial, went to exploit natural resources for material gain. The chief focus of their conflict was a third class of dull, half-awake subhumans used by the sons of Belial for slave labor. The children of the law of one wanted to enlighten these sub-beings by raising their consciousness. The sons of Belial wanted to keep them in ignorance and exploit them for their own gain. Remember, in the Sumerian text, it speaks about how they wanted to create a servant class and that they manipulated and did genetic experimentation on the pre-Adamic creature that was already here, and that they basically used these beings for menial labor. All of this I document in detail in my sixth book, Sons of God, Who We Are and Why We Are Here. But before the legendary land disappeared under the waves, Cayce revealed that there was an exodus of many Atlanteans into ancient Egypt. He attributed the biblical great flood of Noah to be a result of the sinking of the last huge remnants of Atlantis. He also revealed that the many Atlanteans that managed to escape in hopes to preserve a record of their civilization created two separate archives with all their history and accomplishments so that it could be preserved for posterity. One of these archives was revealed to be buried under one of the Sphinx's paws. Recently, there have been some new geological research done in that area since we have obtained new technology, and during one of the Discovery Channel specials, they confirmed that in fact it is possible to see that there is a room under the left paw of the Sphinx, but the Egyptian Directorate of Antiquities does not allow excavation in that area for any reason. All right. Now, I want to go into this other particular text, the Scroll of Thoth, which is absolutely connected to all of this that we're talking about. And it's not very long. I should be able to cover it in probably the next segment. And so I'm going to go ahead and start, and then we'll pick it up when we return from the first hour break. Let me go ahead and get to that. All right. All right, and I probably shouldn't read the whole thing, but as I said, it doesn't take that long, so I'll read what I can real quick. These writings are dedicated to the great God who is eternal. May they live forever among things that survive to serve man. May they be an enlightening lesson and a warning to those who follow. For now, a dark night of ignorance and fear overshadows the land. Your servant bows to your will, O great God, who is benevolent towards those who serve with purity of intent. We who remain loyal glorify you not with mere words, for the time of hypocrisy has passed, but in our inmost thoughts and in our deeds we remember you as the sun rises to your glory in the morning, and as in the evening it sets into your peace. Teach us that there is joy in being your servants. Keep us under your protecting wing. Great Spirit, who made the Nile to flow, the great water which never wearies or ceases. It's in 4 parts, so I have to magnify it. when I get to it. Ceases from its journeying, its movement is as everlasting as the wind. May the stream of my life be filled to overflowing with the waters of righteousness. Loose the shackles of wickedness which hold me captive, and let not the string of my lute be broken while I play, and let not my labors be ended before their fulfillment. Though men hail me for a greater thing than any that has been done before, it will not be by my memorial. Time will eat away my name, but let many mornings dawn on my waking that I may complete the task entrusted to me. Remove the fears that lurk about me in the solitude. Cut off the bonds of affliction that bind me down, and let my spirit roam free. We who remain loyal, know your laws and the great law which is as firm as the hills of immortality. In the days to come, great songs will be sung unto you, even as they were sung in the days of old. The priest can no longer be held in restraint by emotive, and dark days threaten us. It is a time of foreboding, yet there is peace throughout Kahemu, which is interesting to me because it's spelled Kahemu, but if you take out the A and the U, it spells the land of Kem, which is exactly what we were talking about with the Atlantean, the Emerald Tablets. The state of men in high places is such that the beauty of truth has to be concealed from them lest they profane even her purity. Under the shelter of her mantle, even those strengthened by the visions seen in the eternal chambers are liable to lapse into many wickednesses. They would say in their hearts, being one who is purified, I am safe. I can cleave the dark waters of evil as a seabird does the ocean and rise, all wickedness falling away from me as water falls from the back of the soaring bird. Thus it is today, and was even in the days long gone. For such things are written in the old manner on a scroll found at Hanu. The first land on earth. We'll be right back. This is the part where it gets really interesting. All right, welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Zen Garcia. This is Momentary Zen on Studio B at Revolution Radio on freedomslips.com. And just really wanted to take the time to thank all of you for joining us and supporting all the various hosts that come on both Studio A and Studio B. A Mad Painter is on Studio A right now. And that whenever you can, please do support us. Not just with, all of your very interesting, inquisitive dialogue, your very knowledgeable and introspective questions, but for those of you that can, please do support us financially and monetarily with all the various aspects and different ways that you can. Even if it's just a $5 donation, the price of a meal, of some fast food outtake, that once a month, if all of you could do that, that we would be able to pay off our financial obligations and to also effort to expand the studio and take it to satellite at some point, hopefully, so that we can gain a greater outreach. But anyways, there are different ways that you can support us. Right now, they have asked us to promote the archival, the data discs from your various favorite hosts, that if you do purchase one of these data discs, which has a year's full of MP3 downloads, the archival archives for going back all the way to January of last year, that $15 of that support will go to them as well. And also the other aspect would go to supporting the studio. And so those of you can, please do go to freedomslips.com, click on the donate button, and support us with your time and your effort. And know that we really appreciate all of you. All right. I wanted to finish up with the scroll of Thoth, which notice that, you know, Thoth is very similar to Thoth, and that the land that it's speaking of is very similar to where Thoth was sent, to the children of Chem, or the land of Chem. And that Chem is ancient Egypt, and that we know the pyramids, supposedly, as well as the Sphinx, were built by him, and that he was able to use high technology in order to do so. All right. So, continuing with this particular scroll, because it was setting up how it was necessary for them to, because of what the priests were getting involved in, and how they were opening up very dark portals and getting involved in magic that they weren't supposed to get involved in, that judgment was coming upon the, as far as the continent of Atlantis as a people and as a culture and civilization. And that there was also controversy over the pre-Adamic beings that were there, and that the sons of Belial wanted to utilize them as slave labor, and that the sons of the law wanted to elevate them in consciousness and teach them about things, rather than just, things and wisdom and knowledge, rather than just treat them as subservient beings. All right, continuing, it says this. The first land on earth wherein men dwelt was not Kahemu, which again is the land of Chem, Kahemu. It was the land out beyond the salt waters. To this land came the immortal spirit in the form of a radiant one from heaven, who had left his more enlightened place to dwell among beasts in the lower kingdom of sorrow. In some mysterious way he became incarnated as man. How, we know not, but he founded the race of man. It is not as recorded in tales told for the ignorant. This, again, lines up with the tablet number 4 or number 5, the first part that I had read, that spoke about the coming of the dweller and how he had established and taken on human form, and nobody, knew or understood how or why. So again, it matches up with that portion. Which, let me see if I have where it says that really quick. Know ye, O man, that Horleth the master was never one with the children of men. Far in the past time, when Atlantis first grew as a power, appeared there one with the key of wisdom, showing the way of light to all. Let me read this again. Showed he to all men the path of attainment, way of light that flows among men, mastering darkness, leading the man's soul upward to heights that were one with the light. Divided the kingdom he into sections 10 were there, ruled by the children of men. Upon another built he a temple, built but not by the children of men. All right, so this is, that particular person. Formless was he within his temple, yet was he formed in the image of man, dwelling among them, yet not one of them. Strange and far different was he from the children of men. Okay, so you understand what I'm talking about in that particular part. All right, going back to the scroll of Thoth. None knows in truth the old motherland or where it was. There are tales, but they disagree. The nine bows say it was southward. The learned priests are not united in thought. Some say that it was towards the west where the sun now sets. Others say towards the east where the sun rises. Southward are great mountains and forests, monsters and men covered with hair. Here winds are formed within the earth and issue forth from a black cavern. It is a place of chaos where water, soil, and air are not separate. The old motherland could not have been there. To the left hand, there is a great wilderness, the land of Amua. The old motherland could not have given birth to such as these. To the right hand is the wide plain of man-eaters, which stretches out to the far reaches of old Kem or Kahemu. This was barren even in the olden times. To the north of the wilderness, the land is occupied by deformed men and dwarves, where amid this could have been the fertile pastures and plowlands, well watered from the sky, rivers where men lived in peaceful content. The old motherland was never there, nor, as some say, in the waters beyond, which boil at the extremity. Beyond the wide river there once was a land gracious with all riches needful to men, crowned by many walled Meru, but it was not the land of our birth. Northward is the home of the cool breeze, but beyond the lands which skirt the salt water are the one-eyed peoples, and the giants with white hair and eyes. Here the rocks and stones are of the whitest marble, and the trees bear white fruit. Then in the whiteness the eyes of men are blinded as their youth, for even the grass grows white. Before this is the land of Hosugia, a place unproductive and barren, where fruit never appears on the trees, and crops will not ripen. How could the old motherland lie in this direction? Isn't that interesting how this particular text mentions the one-eyed peoples like the Cyclops and the giants with white hair and eyes, and also a land of dwarfs and deformed men? I mean, it's a very interesting text. All right, continuing. In the old books, it is said that the old motherland was ruled by the Queen of Light, who was supreme above all. The temple tales tell that the lesser gods came to dwell among mortals when the mistress of brightness ruled in Kelatu, that they were sheltered in temples and priests were appointed to minister unto them. It is said that places of instruction were set up within the temples, but few men were taught the inner knowledge. It was rightly held that it would be a danger to those without wisdom, and it had to be safeguarded. Is this not the tale told in the book of beginnings? It is said that Kalathi lay within the borders of Kahemu or Kem, but could it not have been the lands of similar sounding name outward from the Platas beyond God's land? How interesting is that? The where it speaks about the mistress of brightness who ruled. That would be like the Queen of Heaven, or Astarte, the Queen of Light. All right, there's one, should be, I believe, just one other portion. to this text. Is it not said of both that they were engulfed in fire and water? In the book of beginnings, it is said that the generations passed and a vast amount of knowledge and wisdom was accumulated and preserved in purity. It was the heritage of the light of truth, and walk wisely with it. Nevertheless, then as now, false priesthoods flourished. They pandered to the carnal desires of the undeveloped and exploited the weaknesses of the ignorant. Their iniquity built up a vast weight of evil in the netherworld, which projected itself into the material of earth, so that the powers which upheld it became unstable. This caused all the southern part of the old land to sink down into heaving waters. The disaster was brought about through the ascendance of evil. Rites which awakened the dead were rife among the carnal-minded and ignorant, while those who remained steadfast on the harder road of spiritual development had fixed their eyes on the light ahead, ignoring the pitfalls at their feet. It was then, even as now, will men ever learn. This was the aspect of the disaster as written in the book of beginnings. There were openings in the land from which evil vapors poured forth as a mist, descending upon the people like a mantle. It spread out and covered the whole face of the land. The tongues of the people were stopped, and they became dumb with fear. The ground trembled beneath them, and great tongues of flame shot up. The whole land heaved and rocked like an ocean wave. As it rose and fell, groaned and shook, the fires which strove beneath burst forth to be met with shafts of lightning striking down from heaven. A thick black cloud of smoke filled the land, and men were smothered in dust. As the setting sun rested on the horizon, it could be but dimly seen beneath the cloud as a fiery red ball. When it had gone, a gray dense darkness prevailed, lit only by great sheets of lightning. The waters broke heavily over the land, sweeping it clean. The plains and cities were covered, and new shores formed around the mountains. The waters mounted up until all that moved and lived was covered. The land was submerged. Mountain tops alone remained above the rush of uplifted torrent. This reminds me of that passage in Jeremiah chapter 4, verse 23, where it talks about a time when there was not yet man, and all the birds of the heaven fled, and the cities of the wilderness were destroyed. Which, in my opinion, that particular passage is also reference to the destruction of Atlantis, as is Ezekiel chapter 26. Over the break, I'll pull those two up. Whirlwinds blew and brought cold winds, which cleared away the dust and debris. Mud banks were formed, and the mountain mouth remained open to spew forth vile vapors. During one long, awful night, the doomed land was torn apart, and southward sank out of sight forever. A wise man has written, this was not mountain-girt Kalathi or age-old Ramaku. This was the land out in the green waters where the sun sets beyond Keftu, near the lands of the Henbua. It is then said they came through the marshes and across the wild mountains, beyond the barren place of stone, into a new land called Anketa. Here grew the great life tree known even in the days of our fathers. This is a tree of strange aspect, like unto no other. Though in the days of our fathers it was barren and enclosed in flames, now we know that the life tree grew in Talius, which is towards the lands of Don, by Pontus. Therefore could not the old motherland have been found hereabouts. Not all was inundated. It is said men came out of the devastation. Behind them the land sank and the earth shook. Mountains split apart and crumbled. Where once there had been a valley, now stood a mountain. The air was filled with smoke, and hot rocks were hurled down from out of the sky. Men choked in brimstone. Great winds howled like 1,000 unearthly wild dogs. They left all behind them and came across the wild places to the land of refuge. Was not Kahamu once known to some men as the land of refuge? Therefore, the whereabouts of the old motherland is not unknown. It is said that when men came from the old land, the everlasting stars rested where earth meets heaven, but none knows how many lifetimes have passed since then. Thus, it is not impossible to discover where the old motherland lay. Therefore, there is hope, and men need not despair, for the secret may be rediscovered. When once again these sacred things rest in the old land from whence they came, the days of disturbance will cease, and once again men will live in peace. Men go forth to seek the road. All is not lost to us yet. Now the Great Spirit, house of the hidden place, stands in Kaamu. It is built to last forever. And it stands up strongly towards heaven, high above the heads of men. It is covered with white stones. The white stone of Rectum was cut for it, and above it is topped with copper. It is not the copper of men, but the copper of God. Within it lies the womb of rebirth, used by the twice-born of the enlightened ones. Men enter into its portals to die and come out restored to life, reborn as gods. Beside it stands the temple of the radiant ones, many pillared and walled about. Here is the great portal of entry into life, and above it, on a great stone, these words may be seen. From the children of God to the children of men, behold, we found you in bondage to mortal bodies, and bestowed upon you the gift of everlasting life. My brothers, these are days of distress, and no man knows the outcome of the strife that rends the land. For long generations this was a land of peace, a land of blessed with bounty, but now men have wrought evil upon it. They who have gone to save it may not complete their journey back, and naught shall have been achieved. Therefore I say unto you, prepare to depart hence. Even as it is written, let the things that are more valuable than life be brought to safety. Above life and land is God. He is above life and land. All right, we'll pick up with the final segment. That was the Scroll of Thoth, which is chapter 31 of the Qumran Bible. And it's speaking about the book of beginnings and talks about the old motherland, which we know as the land of Mu or Atlantis, and the dispersion and how judgment was brought upon the land because of the priest involvement in darkness and opening up stargates and portals, which allowed abomination and very dark energies and entities to enter into this plane of existence. And for such, the entire land and the culture was judged and made a distant memory. And so I'll pick up with those two quotes that I had made mention of. And I hope that you guys are enjoying this, you're certainly welcome to call in if you'd like to make a commentary on any of what I've been covering. The call in number is 301 421 4053, and I'll take calls when we come back for final segment should you wish to share or to just make commentary on all this that I covered. All right, we should be at break at any time, and then I'm gonna continue reading on because we're about to get to the really good parts as far as the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. I'll probably focus, maybe do 2 more shows on this, and also share other aspects of wisdom teachings which are associated to it. Be right back for final segment. All right, welcome back for a final segment. I had mentioned 2 particular passages which, in my opinion, are connected to. These are biblical texts. Jeremiah chapter 4, verse 23, where it says, I beheld the earth, and lo, it was without form and void, and the heavens, and they had no light. I beheld the mountains, and lo, they trembled, and all the hills moved lightly. I beheld, and lo, there was no man, and all the birds of the heaven were fled. I beheld, and lo, the fruitful place was a wilderness, and all the cities thereof were broken down at the presence of the Lord, and by his fierce anger. For thus hath the Lord said, the whole land shall be desolate, yet will I not make a full end. So talking about, again, a time when there was yet no man, and yet the cities of the wilderness were broken down. And then, let me see, this particular Ezekiel chapter 26, where it's speaking about the judgment against the city Tyrus, and it's mentioned that a judgment had gone forth against a seafaring city and a people that were great in primordial times and antediluvian times. And so I'll read that. From Ezekiel chapter 26, I'll begin with verse 15. It says, Thus saith the Lord God to Tyrus, shall not the isles shake at the sound of thy fall? When the wounded cry, when the slaughter is made in the midst of thee? Then all the princes of the sea shall come down from their houses, and lay away their robes, and put on their broidered garments. They shall clothe themselves with trembling, they shall sit upon the ground, and shall tremble at every moment, and be astonished at thee. And they shall take up a lamentation for thee, and say to thee, How art thou destroyed that wast inhabited of seafaring men? The renowned city which was strong in the sea, she and her inhabitants, which caused their terror to be on all that haunt it. Now shall the isles tremble in the day of thy fall. Yea, the isles that are in the sea shall be troubled at thy departure. For thus saith the Lord God, when I shall make thee a desolate city, like the cities that are not inhabited, when I shall bring up the deep upon thee, and great waters shall cover thee, when I shall bring thee down with them that descend into the pit, with the people of old time, and shall set thee in the low parts of the earth, in places desolate of old, with them that go down to the pit, that thou be not inhabited, and I shall set glory in the land of the living. I will make thee a terror, and thou shalt be no more, though thou be sought for, yet shalt thou never be found again, saith the Lord God. And so, speaking about the people of old time. I shall set thee in the low parts of the earth, in places desolate of old, with them that go down to the pit, and bringing the sea over thee. When I shall make thee a desolate city, like the cities that are not inhabited, when I shall bring up the deep upon thee, and great waters shall cover thee. It sounds like Atlantis to me. All right, so make sure there's no questions. And if there's anything that I missed, if in the scroll, all of you are always welcome to call, brother. We always appreciate your commentary and your sharing. And that goes with the rest of you. I appreciate all of you. And I hope that you found this broadcast interesting. I'm going to go back into the Emerald Tablets because the next couple of tablets are absolutely fascinating. And they're very profound. And they have to do, again, with the New World Order and with the elites and the way that they work. And it also speaks about Atlantis again. Emerald Tablet 6, the Key of Magic. Hark ye, O men, to the wisdom of magic. Hark to the knowledge of powers forgotten. Long, long ago, in the days of the first man, warfare began between darkness and light. Men then, as now, were filled with both darkness and light, and while in some darkness held sway, in others light filled the soul. Age old is this warfare, the eternal struggle between darkness and light. Fiercely is it fought all through the ages, using strange powers hidden to man. Adepts have there been, filled with the blackness, struggling always against the light. But others there are who, filled with brightness, have ever conquered the darkness of night. Wherever ye may be in all ages and planes, surely ye shall know of the battle with night. Long ages ago, the sons of the morning, descending, found the world filled with night. There in that past time began the struggle, the age-old battle of darkness and light. Many in that time were so filled with darkness that only feebly flamed the light from the night. Some there were masters of darkness, who sought to fill all with their darkness, sought to draw others into their night. Fiercely withstood they the masters of brightness, fiercely fought they from the darkness of night. Sought they ever to tighten the fetters, the chains that bind man to the darkness of night? Used they always the dark magic brought into man by the power of darkness, magic that enshrouded man's soul with darkness? Banded together in as order, brothers of darkness they through the ages, antagonists they to the children of men, walk they always, secret and hidden, found yet not found by the children of men. Forever they walked and worked in darkness, hiding from the light in the darkness of night. Silently, secretly, used they their power, enslaving and binding the souls of men. All right, this particular paragraph, in my opinion, speaks about the advent of these secret societies and their banding together in as order. These secret societies, these fraternities, these eternal brotherhoods, where the Freemasonic groups, where they gather together and secretly at the highest levels, they worship openly Lucifer, the basically the father, um, through the lines of Cain. He's the progenitor of these particular sons of Belial, these children of darkness, that they are physical, flesh and blood children of the devil, the tares, as it refers in Matthew chapter 13, the enemy that snuck into the garden, and that this enemy is the devil, and that he sowed the tares, and that both would be allowed to grow up until the time of the end, the harvest, where the distinction would cause one to be gathered together for burning and the other to be gathered together for reward. The children of promise and the children of perdition. And this is the war in heaven, the separation of darkness and light, the fight against the Most High God and Son, Yeshua, and Lucifer, and the 1/3 of the angels of the Most High that are parading as gods right now, as what I had referred to in the opening poem for this particular show. And so it's all tied together. All right, continuing. Unseen they come and unseen they go. Man in his ignorance calls them from below. Dark is the way the dark brothers travel, dark with the darkness not of the night. Man in his ignorance calls them from low. It's the rituals. Just like what the Illuminati do with their particular rituals, the ceremonies, their offering of children and victim and blood. And they give themselves over to the host of these fallen angels, these rebel angels. They allow themselves to be possessed, and that many of them are openly controlled by these dragon-like seraphim entities, which in tablet number 8 we'll get to particular detail about that as well. Traveling over earth, they walk through man's dreams. Power have they gained from the darkness around them, to call other dwellers from out of their plane in ways that are dark and unseen by man. Into man's mind space reach the dark brothers. Around it they close the veil of their night. There, through its lifetime, that soul dwells in bondage, bound by the fetters of the veil of the night. Mighty are they in the forbidden knowledge, forbidden because it is one with the night. Hark ye, O men, and list to my warning. Be ye free from the bondage of night. Surrender not your soul to the brothers of darkness. Keep thy face ever turned towards the light. Know ye not, O man, that your sorrow only has come through the veil of the night? Man, heed my warning. Strive ever upward. Turn your soul towards the light. For well know they that those who have traveled far towards the sun on their pathway of light have great and yet greater power to bind with darkness the children of light. List ye, O man, to he who comes to you, but weigh in the balance if his words be of light. For many there are who walk in dark brightness, and yet are not the children of light. Easy it is to follow their pathway, easy to follow the path that they lead. But yes, O man, heed ye my warning. Light comes only to him who strives. Hard is the pathway that leads to wisdom. Hard is the pathway that leads to the light. Many shall ye find the stones in your pathway, many the mountains to climb towards the light. Yet know ye, O man, to him that overcometh, free will he will be of the pathway of light. Follow ye not the dark, brothers, ever? Always be ye a child of the light. For know ye, O man, in the end light must conquer, and darkness and night be banished from the light. So, you know how so many, where it says, there are who walk in dark brightness, and they may look like they are of the light, but they are more of the darkness. How so very true. All right, continuing. We got a little bit of time. We should be able to make it through this. Listen, O man, and heed ye this wisdom, even as darkness, so is the light. When darkness is banished and all veils are rendered, out there shall flash from the darkness the light. Even as exist among men the dark brothers, so there exist the brothers of light, antagonists, they of the brothers of darkness, seeking to free men from the night. Powers have they, mighty and potent, knowing the law the planets obey. Work they ever in harmony and order, freeing the man's soul from its bondage of night. Secret and hidden walk they also. Known not are they to the children of men, yet know that ever they walk with thee, showing the way to the children of men. Ever have they fought the dark brothers, conquered and conquering time without end. Yet always light shall in the end be master, driving away the darkness of night. I really like this particular passage because it shows to us that even though the darkness, the children of Cain, the sons of Belial, that even though they are organized in their evil, that there is an organized force of light, and that these particular beings, we know and hear of the archangel Michael and Gabriel and Uriel and Phanuel and all the sons of God that are of the council of the mighty, that work as servants to the Most High God and to the Son, and that they work and have worked throughout the history, the days of old, to help and assist the patriarchs, the Old Testament patriarchs and the New Testament Christ, to assist them in the establishment of the church and to assist those that walk the narrow way and that are aspiring to have a return to their first estate. And that all of us are in similar pursuit, or at least I would hope so, that those of you that hold a priority of the kingdom, that are seeking to follow the commandments and to understand the discernment of the gospel, to understand the secrets that are contained within, that like myself, you are trying to live so that you can be counted among the elect and those that will be privy to entrance into paradise. All right, continuing. Amen. Know ye this knowing, always besides thee walk the children of light. Masters they of the sun power, ever unseen. Yet the guardians of men, open to all is their pathway. Open to he who will walk in the light. Free are they of dark amente. Free of the halls where life reigns supreme. Sons are they and lords of the morning. Children of light to shine among men. Like man are they, and yet are unlike. Never divided were they in the past. One have they been in oneness eternal throughout all space, since the beginning of time. Up did they come in oneness with the All One. Up from the first space formed and unformed. Given to man have they secrets that shall guard and protect him from all harm. He who would travel the path of a master, free must he be from the bondage of night. Conquer must he the formless and shapeless. Conquer must he the phantom of fear. Knowing must he gain of all the secrets, travel the pathways that lead through the darkness. Yet ever before him keep the light of his goal. Obstacles great shall he meet in the pathway, yet press on to the light of the sun. Hear ye, O man, the sun is the symbol of the light that shines at the end of thy road. Now to thee give I the secrets, how to meet the dark power, meet and conquer the fear from the night. And only by knowing can ye conquer, only by knowing can ye have light. I think we're going to have to pick up when we get back. But the next particular part is very interesting. And then we'll go into the last portion of what I want to cover. Emerald Tablet 8 is very jam-packed, full of information. But in the meantime, I will pray for all of you. I thank you for joining me, and I hope that you are blessed in your seeking, and that the Most High God leads you in truth and guides you in discernment and helps you to understand the secrets of the Gospels, what Christ spoke of as, speak I to them in parables, for they seeing see not, hearing hear not, and neither do they understand. And also, I will utter secrets that have been kept secret since the foundation of the world. So, anyways, I hope that you are all blessed, and that we'll pick this up next week. Also, I'll be soon having some guests to cover some of the most interesting and esoteric aspects of what we are dealing with as world. And if there's anything that you would want me to cover, you can certainly contact me at zengarcia.com and ask me to do a show on it. Or if there's a particular guest you would like me to invite that you would like to hear, certainly do that as well. God bless all. Good night.